Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, last session we learned about tables. How do we work with the tables? Now, next, after understanding tables, we will see today HTML forms. We will start learning about forms in HTML. So, technically, what is a form? Actually, form is a container with a collection of elements like button, text box, checkbox, radio, list box, drop down, etc. So, what is the purpose is actually form provides an user interface for interacting with data. It provides an user interface for interacting with data. That means you can view, you can input, you can edit, you can delete data using form. That is the concept of form. Generally, in web applications use form for handling actions like you can simply say for CRUD operations. We generally say CRUD operations. CRUD operations means C is create, R is read, U is update, and D is delete. So generally web application uses form for basic interactions like we have a login, like register, right? So we have like change account details, all these things, chat, comment, all these type of activities are designed by using a form. So login, registration, changing account details, chatting, so commenting something, all such interactions are managed by using form. Actually, form is a container with collection of lot of elements. For example, I will show you. Suppose we have this is notepad. In this notepad, suppose we are having font option. So this is the font option. So in the notepad, suppose we are having font, select that font. Not only notepad, anywhere. Suppose I will open MS Word. In MS Word, I am opening some details like this. And you can see here, here we have a lot of controls. I will use a snip so that I can take a screenshot of this. I will show you the point here. Yeah. Actually, in this interface, you can see this is the interface we are having. That is the interface we are having. In this, these controls, you see font, character spacing. At the top, we have these controls. Generally, do you know what they are called as? Do you know what they are called as? Font, character spacing. We call them as tabs. Those are tabs. So we have two tabs. One is font, another one character spacing. These are called tabs. Similarly, you can see this is called, that is called, you know its name? It is called as drop down. That is called drop down. Do you know this name? This is called list box. This is called list box. Do you know this name? That is called text box. That is text box. Do you know these? Yes, these are called checkbox. All these are present in a rectangular form. Am I right? They are present in a rectangular form. This rectangle area, that rectangle area is form. That is actually form. So what is form? Form is a container. In that container, we keep all the contents. Form is a container with a collection of elements. Elements can be the buttons, text box. You see, here we have buttons. These are buttons. Everything present in a rectangle box, that rectangle box is called as form. So designing such forms are very important for our general applications. What is the purpose of form? User can interact with us. Without form, user can just watch us. User can just watch us. So he can just see what you are providing. If user wants to ask us something, how you will ask? That means we need to give a search box. So you can see, for example, we are opening some, this is Google. And in this Google, this is actually a form. The form contains a text box where you can search. For example, you open some Amazon, you can see this is a form. What is the purpose? You can select a category, you can search in that category, right? You can define the search categories. Technically, you see, suppose I open like, sign in. You see, this is a form. Interaction with the users, we can design by using forms. How to design such forms is important. Almost every web application requires forms. Not only in HTML, in future, if you are learning Java, .NET, PHP, Python, Angular, React, everywhere you need forms. Every web application uses forms. And there they will not teach you about forms. They will directly use the forms. So where you have to learn the forms completely. You have to learn the forms completely in HTML only. Then only you can work in JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, everywhere. Everywhere forms are used, but their forms are not learned. They will just use the forms. You have to learn them perfectly in HTML only. And if you are not good in forms, you can't be a web developer for real time. Because every day work will be with forms only. You need to be very strong in forms. Let's see how to design forms. How do we work with the forms? Let's see. Actually, to design forms, HTML provides following following elements for form. So many elements are there. We have form, we have input, we have select, we have option, OPT group, we have data list, we have text area, so we have meter, we have progress. These are all the important elements used for form. So forms are designed by using these elements. So we have to create forms by using this. What are those? We will see now. How to design, how to work with them, we will see. In this first important concept you need to know here is, here the first thing we have to know is the form element. Form element. First you need to know about form. Actually, as I already told you, this form, it is a container like div, span, empty, nothing is present. It is a container. What is the purpose of this container is, it comprises of elements that allow interaction with the application. Elements that allow interaction with the application. So form is an empty container. We can put some elements inside it. As of now, first you need to know syntactically form is designed like this. Form, and here we have another form. This is end of form. So generally in many interviews they ask, can I have multiple forms in a page? We can have. So a page may contain multiple forms. A page may contain more than one form. That is the reason every form must have a start and end compulsory. So you can have more than one form in a page. Now, how we can manage the form? Every form comprises of following attributes. These are very important. Form contains a lot of attributes. Those are very important. What are the attributes? We will see. So form attributes. The first important attribute for form is form have a name. So every element can have a name. Every element can have a name. We use a name for iframe also. So that means, what is the purpose of name? The purpose of name, actually it is used to refer a form. We can refer the form by using name. Form is used for reference. It is used for reference. So how you do? Generally we write a form and we can have a name. And very important, when we are giving names, you must follow certain rules actually. What are the rules is, always use names with alphanumeric alphanumeric characters. Name should be alphanumeric. Another important, name must start with alphabet. Don't give numbers. It should start with alphabet. Another important, as per standards, name must be in camel case. name must be in camel case. Camel case means generally first three characters we use lowercase. That means, for example, camel case means I will tell you here. Suppose I'm declaring some names. Suppose we have a button. For button, we need to give a name. As per the standards, camel case means it will start with lowercase btn and it will have an uppercase letter. After that, it will have again lowercase. This is called camel case. Starts with lowercase, have a uppercase letter, and then end with lowercase. Remember, this is mandatory. I told you now, real-time projects, they don't entertain your talent. They don't entertain your type of skills that you have learned. They just want standards. So if you write anything not as per standards, your code will be rejected. Simple. Right? That means we don't care about what your talent is about. We just want you to design as we asked you to design. That's it. Right? Then in every project documentation, they will particularly mention that all names must be in camel case only. If you read any official project document, in any software company official project document will have this sentence. They will write specially that always use camel case for naming. We have camel case, we have Pascal case. Sometimes they ask Pascal case. For certain things, they will ask Pascal case. For certain things, they ask camel case. Pascal case means every word first letter capital. That means, for example, I am giving employee name. This is Pascal case. If it is lower, if it is camel case, we will write employee name. Understood? That is camel case and Pascal case. Pascal case, every word first letter caps. So these are strictly followed. So whenever you are giving names, better follow this. One more important, especially while working with forms, another standard you have to follow. The standard is that name must be camel case. Prefix must define the object, and the suffix must define the purpose. Prefix must define the object and suffix must define the purpose. The prefix must define what object it is. Suppose FRM means it is prefix, it is form. BTN means button. TXT, that means text box, like that. That is the prefix we have to use. So many will come, you will see them. Suppose I am using register, that means I am using register. That means for register. And we are using, suppose, name. So this is for name. So age, that means this is for age. That means we write like this. Suppose we are having txt age. What does that means? It is a text box for age. Understood? Suppose we have BTN register. That means it is a button for register, like this. So FRM login. This is a form for login. That is how we have to give the names. We have to follow these standards in naming. Strictly you have to follow. You need to get habit of this. Don't use X, Y, Z, A, B, C, all these things. Right? As per project standards, the name must speak what it is. By seeing the name itself, a developer should able to guess what object it is, what function it performs. So if I give that name, so then by seeing it itself, they can tell. For example, suppose I written something like txt password. What does that means? It is a text box for password. So you don't need to tell them detailedly. Name itself tells what it is. These standards are very important to follow. When you are giving a name, you have to define in this way. This is one important name. So let's go here. Let's add a new file. I will give forms.html. I will simply give register HTML. I'm designing a HTML page. I will give here register. I'm giving here a simple form, and form is an empty container. It is an empty container. There is nothing to see. You can see there is nothing inside the form. It is completely empty. There is nothing. It is just an empty container. For example, just for your understanding sake, I am writing form. For that form, width is suppose 200. And for form, height is equal to some 400. And you can see we have border as 2 pixel solid black. And you can see that is the form. Form is just a container, a box, just like a div and span. Then what is speciality? What is difference between a div, span and a form? Div and span cannot submit the data, but form can submit the data. Form have the ability to submit the data, and generally forms have to submit the data. Divs and spans cannot submit the data. We will see that practically also. So generally we have a form, and there can be many forms. In that case, we can use a name, and the name I am giving some FRM register. That is the form name. That is just only traditional. Now the question, when we will use this? As of now, there is no use of it. But later it is very important in logic when you are using JavaScript and all. This name is important to refer the form, access its elements. Generally, while working with JavaScript, you have to depend on the form names. So name is important, but not now, later. As of now, just you have to know what is name, right? Next. So that is name. Second important, it can have an ID. It is used to define a unique ID for form to use in styles or scripts. You can use in styles or scripts. Name is used for scripts, but ID can be used for both styles as well as scripts. You can apply some styles by using ID. You can also use it in script. If you want to only use in script, then you use a name. If you want to use for both script as well as style, then you give an ID. So you can use IDs also. So technically we have a form, we have a name, FRM register, and ID. You can give any ID. Suppose same FRM register, like this we can give. You can have both, or you can have any one depending on your requirement. So if I am using only for script, name is enough. But if I want for script and style, then instead of name, use ID. That depends. You can use both also. That depends on your requirements. So technically, name and IDs are very important for every element. But as of now, we don't use them. Later, we will use IDs. In CSS, we can use, for example, see, I want to apply some style for this form. Already we are applying like this. But what it will do, it will apply for all forms in the page. Because you are writing form, suppose there is another form, and the form name is FRM login. Now that form also will have the same effect. We have two forms, but I want only first form to have a different appearance. Then usually what you can do, so you can use its ID. You can use its ID. You can use the ID, or you can use the class also. For example, I am using an ID, FRM what? Register. How to access IDs? Hash FRM register. In style, you can use it. I am using box shadow, some 3 pixel, 2 pixel, 3 pixel, some gray color shadow. And you can see that contains a shadow. Only register form have a shadow. Login form is not having a shadow. We can access by using ID. By using ID, we can access. So it depends on your requirement. You use IDs, or you can also use one more option. What is it? You can also use a class. So it is used to define a reference name for CSS class. What is specialty here is, generally every element can have multiple classes. Every element can have multiple classes. The advantage is, for one element you can apply several effects. With ID you can give only one. Later in CSS you will learn detailedly. With ID we can give only one, but with class we can give multiple. For example, see what I am doing here. So I will remove this all concept here, okay, and only one form I will give. Yeah. Now here I want to give some effects for the form. See, I will remove this also, okay, and this is the empty one. I am using dot. I am giving border style. And here I am applying dot means class. Dot is used for class. And I am applying here border as 2 pixel, some dotted border, and I will give some red color. That is the border style. After that, I am using another class, shadow style. And here we give box shadow, 3 pixel, 2 pixel, 3 pixel, some yellow. That is the option I am giving. So we have border style and we have a shadow style. Two classes are there. I want to apply those two classes to this form. So generally ID can be only one. Name also can be only one. But class, you can see, class I am applying, first class is border style, border hyphen style. You can see one class is working here. One class is working border style. I am using one more here, one more option here. Suppose here basic style. Okay, basic style width I am giving as 200 and height I am giving as 400. Like this I am defining. Now what happens here? You given only border style, After that space, you can give basic style. Basic style. You can see border style, basic style, both are working. I want to apply border style, basic style, shadow style. Then I can simply add one more class. What is it? Shadow style. Shadow style. Like this we can define. Then it will apply shadow style also. Now the point is, why you are not writing all at one place? Why? Because for some forms I want shadow only. For some forms I want border only. In that case, we need to separate our styles and we must able to apply them to any element. We can apply one, we can apply two, we can apply all. Then it is not possible with ID. It is not possible with name. It is possible with class. So in CSS, you will learn more about it, right? As of now, just basic point I told you. So we can have an element with class. We can have an element with ID. You can have an element with name. So we are having another option here. We can have a form. We can have a class, and the class I am giving some border style, basic style, some style. Another one is shadow style. Like this, I can add multiple effects. Multiple effects. You have to write them here. You have to write. You know how to write, right? Dot border style. It is one effect. Another one, basic style. You put some other effects in it. So shadow style. So you can add some effects into it. So we can apply them to any particular element. So every element in HTML can have an ID, can have a name, and can have a class. Similarly, form is also having same form ID, form name, and form class. Next, very important about form is form have a attribute method. This is very important. In many interviews, they ask a lot of questions related to this. So method is also very important. What is method actually? What is the meaning of method? I will give you a simple example. See, suppose we are having, suppose we are having an object. So we are having an object. In this object, suppose I am filling some color. Okay. Now this object actually, this object have some details like it is having 3.2 mm radius. 3.2 mm radius. It is having black border. It is having yellow fill color, right? These are the physical description. For example, suppose just we will think that this is a ball, right? This ball is 3 mm in radius. It is having black border, some yellow fill color. Now, can you tell what the ball can do? What is the behavior of ball? Ball can bounce. Am I right? Ball can bounce. Ball can roll. Right? Ball can explode. It can bounce. It can roll. It can explode. Right? That means these are the actions what it can do. Then these are called properties, means how it looks like, and these are called methods. That means how it looks like, that is property, height, width, color, shape. What it can do, that is method. What actions it can do, that is method. It can bounce, it can roll, it can explode. Now the question, when it will bounce, when it will bounce, when you throw, when I throw to a wall or somewhere, it will bounce, right? When I roll, so that means suppose I am using slide, when I slide, it will roll. When I throw, it will bounce. When I pin, it will explode, right? That means when it can do these methods, when we throw, when we slide, when we pin, these are called events. Events. Object comprises of three basic things: properties, methods, and events. Properties means what the object looks like, how it looks like, height, width, color. These are properties, physical description. What activities it can do, that is methods. When it will do, that is event. Event will decide. Now let's take technical example. This is general example, leave it aside. This is general example. Let's take one technical example now. Suppose we have a button. This button is given with an option called some save. The button is given with an option save. This button is having some color, some width, height, all these things are there for the button. Now usually how we design the button? Generally to design the button, what we have, usually we have button width. Button width is equal to some 200. Button height is equal to some 40. Button have text. Text is equal to save. Button have BG color, am I right? BG color, some biscuit, some color, some color it is having. Now the point here is these are all considered as what? These are all considered as properties. Now what this button can do? Actually, button can do a lot of things. Like button can open, button can save, button can close, am I right? But currently what button is doing? Save. So these are called as what? These are called as what? Methods. When this will be done? When it will save? When button will save? When we click it, right? Only click, you can double click, am I right? You can double click, you can mouse over, understood? Mouse over means you can just move the mouse over it. These are called as what? We call as events. So when you are designing elements for web, every element have properties, methods, and events. That means in a software, when you are designing any element, every element will have these three things: properties, the methods, and events. Actually, here in HTML, we don't call them properties. I already told you, we call them as attributes. Understood? HTML have all attributes. In JavaScript, we use properties. So in HTML, we use all attributes. That means how the form looks like, how it is looking like, what it is, how it is referred. Form name, form ID, form class, this all comes under what? Properties. Form method. Method indicates what a form can do. Method indicates what a form can do. That means method, it defines the actions It defines the actions that a form can perform. The actions that a form can perform. And very important, HTML form can perform only two actions. HTML form can perform only two actions. One is get, another one is post. These two actions. So whenever you design a form, you have to tell what this form have to do. Get or post. What is difference actually? Get is used by form. Get is used by form to fetch data from server. To fetch data from server. That means to access anything from server. In server, some information is present. We want to fetch something from server. Then we have to do it by which request? Get. And post is used by form to submit data to server. Post is used to submit data to server. So when we design a form, we design form for two requests. One is get, another one is post. If your form's intention is to submit information to server, then we have to design on post. If its purpose is to get information from server and show you, then we have to use it on get. Actually, very important is the default method for form is get. The default method for form is get. If I don't write a method, by default it is get. If I don't write any method, by default it is get. So another important is form can submit only on submit button click. Form can submit only on submit button click. Default form can submit only on submit button click. So every form must have a submit button. What are buttons? You will learn separately. You will get more idea about buttons. As of now, you should know that form cannot submit anything without a button. So form have to submit anything by using button. But here in interviews, lot of questions are asked. In many, almost for freshers in web development, you can expect at least 3-4 questions related to this post and get. Every interview, in every interview, 100 to 100%, you will get a question related to form. Mandatory. And mostly the question will be related to these methods. Actually, what is the question regularly asked? The first question, frequently asked questions, the first question is, what is the default method for form? You know, what is the default method for form? Get. Second point is, so when to use get and post. So answer we know. Get for fetching data from server, and post for submitting data to server. Now the question comes interesting. Can we submit data to server on get request? Yes, we can. That means actually post is good for submitting, but you can submit on get also. Now the question is, if we can submit on get, then why to use post? We can submit data to server on get request. Then why to use post? Why to use post? For example, what is the default method? Default method is get. You see here now. So here, I will have a form here. In this form, temporarily, just I'm adding a button. I'm not writing anything. I will say register. So you see form have a button, register button is there. I will delete all these styles and all. Or let it keep it, but height I will adjust. So I will adjust to 200 and I will give padding as 10 pixel. And here I will put background black. Okay, that looks normal, reasonable. Now you see there is a register button. Very important. I will right click and open inspect. Inspect. When you open inspect, the debug tools comes. Here, go to network category. Select network. This is network category. In this network category, you refresh the page. After you open network, refresh the page. The page will load. You can see here, the page will come, request will come here. You can see register.html. You select that register HTML. When I select register HTML, you can see it will show the method here. You can see the method here. And see the request method. By default, request method is get. That means every form page by default works with which method? Get. I click on this button. I click on this button. It is submitted. But observe, go to register and see. Again, it is on which request? Get. So I am not writing any method. I am not writing any method. By default method is get. So if anybody asks like, can we submit data on get? Yes, but not recommended. Recommended, but not recommended every time. But sometimes we use it. Why we don't recommend to submit data on get? That means now the question asked here is, what are the issues? What are the issues on submitting data to server with get request? What are the issues on submitting data to server with get? If I submit with get, what will happen? If I submit will get, so many things will happen. First point, when you submit data on get request, data will be appended into URL. Data will be appended into URL as query string. Data will be appended to URL as query string. I will show you that. That means data will be added into URL as query string. So what is problem is everyone can view your data. Everyone can view your data. So it is not safe. It is not safe. It is easy to hack. It is easy to hack. And another important, it is stored in browser logs. Browser logs means it is stored in browser history. Even you close the browser, later anybody can know what you have used. Not only browser logs, if you delete from browser logs also, it can be bookmarked. It can be bookmarked. Bookmark means even you delete from browser history, by bookmarking also I can access it. That means it is not safe. Another important, if data is in URL, then we have limit for data. We have limit for data. That means here you can submit maximum 2048 characters. You can submit maximum 2048 characters. You cannot submit complex data. Complex data means binary type data. We have a limit for data. These are all the problems on get. See, if interviewer wants, he can conduct entire 1 hour interview on just form. Not just form, he can just conduct entire interview on just form, get and post. So much is there about this to ask. So because depends, if you are showing experience, then they will go more depth about the concept. If you are a fresher, then it is okay. That means they will not go very in depth about the concept. But once as a fresher you are answering everything what they are asking, then they will try to go more depth about the concept. So at experience level, they can go very in depth about the concept. That is the reason lot of questions are there. They can even ask how many characters are allowed. That is why I given a number. The maximum number of characters allowed 2048. So what is the problem? I will tell you here. Observe here. What is the problem in submitting data on get? See, roughly here, I will put here password. And I will put here a text box. Input type is, don't worry what I am typing, just see it. Okay. Later you will understand what is input type, buttons and all. Currently you need to just concentrate on form get. You don't worry about what I am typing. Okay. So here I am designing a simple screen. In this screen you see there is an option password. I will put breaks. Okay. You see, you have password. Now you see here, I am giving form with a method as what? Get. Even I don't give, by default method is get. Capitalization doesn't matter. In the notes, I am just giving caps to separate, right? You can use lowercase, uppercase, anything. As I already told you, HTML use lower cases majority, right? Now you see here, method is get. Now see, I am typing password. I am typing some password. After typing password, I am clicking on register, submit. When I submit, currently on which request it is? Get request. You can see when I submit. So when I submit, the data is in URL. That means I typed some password, but everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. I am typing password, suppose John123, and click on register. It is showing it. So when you submit data on get request, where the data will be? Data will be in URL. And whatever is present after this question mark, we call it as query string. We call as query string. So first point, anybody can see your data. It is not safe. It is easy to hack your data. Suppose even you close, this is present in browser history. Somebody may go to browser history and see what you submitted. Even you delete from history, anybody can bookmark this, means can add to favorites, and he can access it directly. So these are the problems with it. And another important, in URL, there is a limit for data. Like this, how much you can submit in URL? 2048. Can you submit images here? No, because it is only plain text and numbers and characters, symbols, images. You cannot submit binary type data. Complex data cannot be submitted. These are the problems on submitting data on get. But one advantage is there. The advantage is, so when you submit data on get, it can be cached. This is one good advantage. It can be cached. Caching is nothing but it can be stored in temporary memory. What is advantage of storing in temporary memory? If I want it again, then this time it comes fast. You don't need to bring from server every time. It can be cached. Cached means it is kept in memory. Once it is kept in memory, next time again you want it, it will be fast. So this is good. If you are not concerned, suppose security is not the point. For example, you see you are visiting a website. When you are visiting website, I will tell you, generally when you are visiting website, actually what happens, you opened home. In home you opened some electronics. In electronics you opened some mobiles. In mobiles you opened some MI. So in MI you opened some 2022. Right? Now the point, so here in that you have filtered by price greater than 20,000 or price less than 20,000. Now what happens is, now this query will show some results. Am I right? If I want these results again, I don't need to follow this path again. Am I right? Do you know you can add this into your favorites now? You know that? You can add into favorites. When you add into favorites, then you can easily access it. Here, is there any problem of security? No problem in security. Anybody can see what I watched, right? I don't need any problem with privacy here. In that case, get is good. That means we are submitting and it is returning. We are submitting electronics, it returns electronics. We are submitting mobiles, it returns mobiles. We are submitting price, it will return price. Now those must be in URL, because next time I should open, they must be cached in memory so that I can next time easily open. In these cases, get is good. So get is having lot of drawbacks, but you can use get also for submitting for certain type of requirements. In this kind of situation, get is good. That is the reason if anybody asks, can we submit data on get? You can submit data on get. So then why we not continue to submit data on get every time? Not every time. If you are dealing with some secure data, better don't do this. Then what to do? So that means when to use get. So then the concept is same. Always use get for fetch. Understood? For fetching the information. For submitting, you can use post. So that means now another question is, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? What are the features? The features of post. What are the features of post? Features of post. And you know the answer already, because reverse, everything is reverse. Now here one important point is, if you submit on post, data will be in form body. Data will be in form body. It is in the form body. So it is not appended into URL. So it is safe. It cannot, it is not saved in browser. It is not saved in browser logs. Browser logs means history. That means it cannot be bookmarked. It cannot be bookmarked also. Bookmarked. That is good. That means it is hard to hack your data. These are all the advantages. And another point, so no limit to submit. You can submit binary data, complex data. There is no limit of submitting. So on get, you have a limit, but on post, there is no limit. You can submit any amount of data. You can submit even complex data. But one problem is there. What is that problem is you cannot cache. You cannot cache because it is not saved anywhere. That means if I want again, then again you have to enter everything. Again, you have to enter everything. These kind of problems will come regularly. For example, in some websites you might have seen, you are filling a registration form. 20 fields they have given. You filled the entire form. After filling the form, somewhere one field have problem. And you submitted. It went and come back saying that there is a problem. Fill again all. Right? Have you experienced that? Is it good? We are not satisfied. Again, fill all. Keep what is there already good. Show me only what is wrong. I will correct it. That is very good. And many people do that. Many websites do that. Many websites will not do that. In that case, you will face this issue. That means you cannot ask to fill all details again. Right? Obviously, some people do that because the previous details may have some private data. For example, many times you will see passport, visas, and government related websites when you are filling the forms with very private data, they will reset the form completely. Any mistake is there, they will ask to fill again. Why? Because previous details you entered, they are very secure details. They cannot be saved, like credit card number, some name details, and other things. But sometimes they are not very private. They can be saved. That depends. That means we have to design for both get and post. So if anyone asks what is difference between get and post, now you have the answer. Right? What are the differences between get and post? So get submits data into URL as what? Data submitted in URL as one important word, as query string. Data is submitted as query string when you submit on get. Data is submitted as form body. You remember these two technical words, query string, form body. On get, where data will be? Query string. On post, where data will be? Form body. These two words are very important even for experience level question. In many, even Angular, React like technologies, they ask this. If data is submitted on post, where data will be? That means you have to tell data will be in form body. If it is on get, then where it will be? It will be in queries. Now you see here the same thing. I will change here now. Instead of method get, I will use the method as post. When I use the method post, you can see now, actually it will show error. Why error? Because you are submitting to server, but server side, there is no one. Currently, we are using only front end. Right? In the back end, there is nothing. Later, we can have a back end technology that will catch the information coming from front end. Currently, you are posting, but there is nothing source back end to post. That is the reason you see now, I am writing some password and click on register. Then this is submitted and it is showing error. Error because it is saying that where to post. Right? There is nothing to post location. It's okay. But you see register. When you open this register, this method is what? post. And you see your URL is very clean. It is not having any data. Data is not in query string. If it is on get, it will be in query string. On post, it will be in form body. There is nothing here. There is nothing here. Very important is generally when you post, you have another important action. What is it? When you define the method, so we have another option, number 5. Another option is, first I will give a syntax here. What is it? We have to give form method. Method is get or method is post. We can define like this. Another important, you have action. Actually action, it defines where to post your data. That means where to submit this data. Actually it is usually any server side technology. It is usually any server side technology. JSP, PHP, Node.js, some server side technology. Actually, what we do is we have to define form, method is equal to post, and we have to give action is equal to some page dot ASP, JSP, PHP, like that we give. So many will be there. That means there will be a server side technology ready, which will catch the data that you are posting, and it will insert into the database or do some activities. But currently we don't have any such pages. So we can't even try. Later you will see that, because for that you need some server side pages. If you don't have server side pages, you cannot try this, right? So, but what action indicates? It cannot be a HTML page. HTML page cannot be there. You can temporarily put a HTML page, but actually it should be a server side page. You can temporarily put HTML page. For example, see, I will give method is what? Get or post. I will give here, what is it? Action. Action, I will give another page. Suppose which page? Suppose shopping template. So I will give that, right? I'm giving shopping template .html. I'm using that page. Now what happens is I'm entering the password here. Let's go. I'm entering the password here, some John, and click on register. It will go to that page. You see, password is entered and it is still showing the error. Why it is showing the error? Because this is not a server side page. It is which page? HTML page. So generally it should be which page? Any server side page. Server side page like some page.jsp php. But we don't have any pages like that. If we have page, then you can have. Right? That is the reason you cannot even test this. Because in order to test, you need to have a page background. And usually these are server side pages, right? Later you will see when you are working with server side technologies. Okay. So this is action. Form have action. One more very important, in the form we have no validate. Form have another option, no validate. No validate is nothing but it is used to bypass the default HTML validations. It is used to bypass the default HTML validations. Now in HTML5, one specialty is there. In HTML5, ready-made validations will be there. Later you are going to learn about those ready-made validation. For example, see here, you see I am asking email. I am asking email. I am using input type as email and name I will give as email. I will remove this action here. Okay. I am asking email, and observe carefully here. So in this, it is asking email. Now what I will do here is I will just enter some email. I have to enter some email. I am entering some John that is entered. It is not having a proper email format, and I will just click on register, and it is validating. It is saying that please include at the net. That is very good. It is validating. Now I am saying that if I give no validate, it will not validate. It will not validate. For example, you see now I entered some John and I am not entering proper email and register. It is submitting. Is validation good or not? Validation is good. Then why you are bypassing? If validation is good, then why they have given an option to ignore? They have given an option to ignore. Why they have given an option to ignore if validation is good? If validation is good, you should use it. Right? Why they are bypassing? Why they are allowing to bypass? Because the validations are given by HTML are not according to our requirement every time. They are not according to our requirement every time. They will not satisfy our requirement, so we don't want them. Then we will decide to write our own validation by using JavaScript and all. Suppose they give mobile validation. They will give mobile validation. They will give US mobile validation. Why I need US mobile? I need Indian mobile validation. I don't want US mobile. But their mobile validation is US mobile validation. I don't want it. Here also, they are giving email validation. See, I am using without no validate. Now you see, I am entering here some John, and I am saying register. When I am saying register, it is saying include at the net. I include at the net and A. Is it a correct email? But it is submitting. That means it is having some validations which are not satisfying for us. Then why should I need this? I can ignore this. Now you may ask, like, why can't you keep them and write your own? Why can't you keep these validations and write your own validation? Why I should waste my time in 2? That means now 2 times validation will fire up, page will be slow. You are validating HTML, you are validating, use any one, either this or that. So that means don't waste time in validating here and there. That is the reason it is mandatory that you have to bypass the validations. For that, you have to use no validate. No validate indicates that don't use HTML validations if it is having any. If it is having any. So that is very important. So these are validation. This is a simple example of all the points we have learned. Right? Basic form. Now this is just only about form related attributes. Now in that so many elements will come. Button, text box, checkbox, radius and all. That we'll see in our next session. Right? Monday we will do that. And once you start elements, then you can design the forms like websites. Right? That we will see in our next session. How to design elements and work with them. Okay? Right.